So last week, I sent out an email asking, what are your keto roadblocks? I got some great responses, and this response from Cindy seems perfect to address in today's video since I haven't really recorded in a while, so it kind of feels like we're starting fresh. Now, in case you follow me, but you still have no idea why I'm popping up on your screen or who I am Nissa from Eating Fat is the New Skinny. I'm the author of My Big Fat Life Transformation and The Lazy Keto Gourmet. And I'm also the co-host of the podcast Chat the Fat, which is going to premiere in just a few weeks. All right, so back to Cindy's question. She replied to my request for keto roadblocks with, honestly, my biggest stumbling block is actually putting keto into practice every day. I've gathered so much info because that's what I do, researched everyone, all the websites, bought several programs, and I still haven't pulled the trigger. It seems that researching, etc., has been an excuse for me not to get going. When you are researching and reading everything you can get your hands on and making lists, it's as if you are doing something when you haven't actually put anything into practice. One of the reasons I really like your books and your emails is that you acknowledge that. I believe you said that it took you about a year or so of doing a little bit here, a little bit there, before you finally jumped in. So that's where I am. I'm ready to jump in, but maybe I need a push. So, Cindy, I am here today to give you that big push that you need. Maybe just some floaties here since you're just getting started, but it could be a big push for you since you are just getting started. So I've obviously been doing this for a little while. So sometimes it's really hard to know where people are at, whether you're starting out, whether you're seeing success. So having this kind of information really helps me make helpful videos for you. All right, so Cindy was correct when she said that I took about a year or so of doing little things before I jumped all in. But for me, it wasn't really that simple. Before I began keto, my diet history was definitely a little bit more sorted. So I was a yo-yo dieter for more than 20 years. So I was pretty much always doing some kind of diet. Now, I was also a researcher like Cindy, but I didn't just do the research and then not do anything about it. I basically started every single plan that I read about. I wanted to try it out even before I finished the research. So what I really was doing that year before I started keto was trying out the low carb approach, and I was also, learning to love low carb that way. Hi, Jimmy. I always have to say hi to him. So I was learning to love this low carb lifestyle, but she's right. I did do it gradually. So since I was a 20-year yo-yo diet veteran, I didn't really love to eat healthy food. And now everyone has their own definition for healthy food. So when I throw up the air quotes around healthy food, that means real food that is grown in the ground or found in nature. I spent most of my dieting life eating processed junk food. So even if it was labeled as healthy or low carb or keto, it's still processed in a lab and it's still not what our body needs. So when it came time to eat the foods that a lot of these plans that are really worth it require, like the real foods, I didn't want to eat them because I was so used to eating the processed junk. Even if it was from a mainstream diet program, it's still processed. But I would find ways to fit in junk food. I would just count the calories, swap it out. And if you keep following along with me, you are going to learn very quickly that I learned it's not about the calories. I believe that for way too long in my life, but it's just not true. So that's another video for another day. We'll definitely talk about it. And I see Ketone Machine Fasting said, eat like our ancestors. That's the point. And yes, I agree. But at that time, I wasn't able to eat like the ancestors because my body was so used to living on junk that I just couldn't do it. So it took time for me to get my body to that point. And that's what I did during that first year. I spent low carb. So I didn't really spend that time just researching and not doing anything about it. I did plenty, but I just didn't jump into keto all at once. So I took the time to learn how to love these low carb foods that are, real, not processed foods. I also took steps to improve how my body digests food And I also took time to learn how to shift my chemistry so that way I was balanced. And that way, when I finally did start keto, I took what I was doing further by dropping my carbs even lower and raising my fat even higher. And it wasn't too hard to transition since I spent the previous year preparing my body. Now, I'm not saying that you need to research and you need to make gradual changes for an entire year without any progress. In fact, the gradual improvements that I made actually made for a lot of progress. So I lost somewhere around 70 pounds that first year, and my fasting diabetic blood sugar levels normalized, which I think is great progress. So even though I didn't exactly hit my goal weight or where I wanted to, I still made great progress. Now, those gradual changes helped me see pretty big improvements, which led to me wanting to keep going to make more changes for better health. So it just kind of all snowballed into my current lifestyle where I lost a lot of weight and now I can easily maintain that loss. So where you are now, Cindy, or anyone else who is stuck in research paralysis, the same goes for all of you as well. If you're researching but you're not taking any action, you really need to start gradually incorporating new changes every day. I want you to keep researching while you're making those changes so you know what's right for your body and what feels good for you. I do have a new book coming out in a few weeks that hopefully will help you get started if you haven't quite started yet. But in the meantime, if you've already waited long enough and you don't want to wait anymore, then start with your very next meal. If you keep researching but you don't know where to start with the very next meal that you're going to eat. For a lot of us, we already ate lunch. I didn't, I'm fasting. But for those of you who already ate lunch, your next meal is probably dinner. So all you need to do to get started with dinner is to take your carbs down to about 25 grams of carbs per meal. Now, if you're just starting out, I don't care if those carbs are pure sugar. I don't care if they're fiber or even real food carbs. The goal right now is to get to that 25 grams of carbs. So you might need a measure, you might need a food scale or measuring cups or something like that, but calculate those 25 carbs. You can record it in Chronometer or MyFitnessPal, whatever you like to use, and just start there. And then every meal that you do, try your best to hit that 25 carbs or less. Of course, make adjustments so you're not eating pure sugar because that's not advised long term, but do what you have to. And just lower the carbs to 25 per meal and see how you do. So obviously, if you're past this point, I don't want you to backslide and follow that advice. Keep doing what you're doing for progress, but maybe if you need a little more carbs, don't feel like you can't put them in because someone told you you can't. You need to listen to your body and do what feels good. All right, so I want you to make that simple change. Get started with your very next meal, quit putting it off, and just make that change until you research further and you can take more steps. If you are ready to learn right now, you can get my free guide at eatingfatisthenewskinny.com/free guide. And that will show you some of the best strategies that I use to lose more than 110 pounds. And I also still use those strategies today to easily help maintain my loss. All right, that's really all I had to say, but I'm really excited to chat with you again next week. If you have any questions in the meantime, be sure to reach out. You can just ask in the comments or email me at nissa@eatingfatisthenewskinny.com. While we're here, I see Ketone Machine Fasting asked if I test my blood ketones. I have in the past, and I think it's great for progress to know if you're in ketosis. But I think once you test your blood ketones for a while, you just kind of know. You just start to feel like if you're in ketosis. And so now really the only time that I do test is if I eat something questionable that I think maybe kicked me out. I also might test if it's been a while and I just want to make sure, but I'm always in it, which is good because you do this for a while and your body adapts really well. So yeah, if you're new to this, I would definitely recommend testing your blood ketones and at least learning how you feel while you're in ketosis. All right, that's all I have to say. Talk to you later.